All right, there we go. We are on live. We had a couple conversations before the show started about Arnold Palmer. Pete, you know, Chris can't believe that I've never had an Arnold Palmer before, and I don't drink lemonade or iced tea or any of that stuff like that. I'm more of a, you take it however you want to, but I like grape pop and strawberry pop, and if I have pop at all, like that's what I'll get. Maybe RC once in a while, but I am not a I'm not an iced tea or like that those kind of sweet things, but it's super weird how he just thought he was like flabbergasted. I had never heard of Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
I don't know how popular they are, but
It's massive. It's across the world, to be honest with you. Just to pull back the curtain briefly, before we went live here, John has to hit the button and to go live here. And we were talking, catching up. I got home 10 minutes ago. Well, I got home 5 minutes ago. And when he sent me the link to the broadcast, I said, you know what? Give me a couple minutes. I got to use the bathroom real quick, and then I'm going to get something to drink, which was an Arnold Palmer. And then John looked at me like we're in China. Like he had no idea what the heck an Arnold Palmer was. I go, dude. You're living in one of the most massive kind of markets for sports, massive markets in the United States in terms of in or outside of Chicago. There's just no way that I believe any human being such as you, John. You're a sociable guy, active guy. We met in Canton, lots of hugs and kisses there. It's shocking to me that a man of your stature has never tried an Arnold Palmer, no matter where you go, the grocery store, the gas station, even your little, I don't even know if you call it that there in Chicago, but the bodegas, I know that's in New York, you can get Arnold Palmer they're in the tall cans. They're only $1. It's an Arizona iced tea Arnold Palmer. Or if you wanted to make it at home, it's literally the easiest recipe ever. 50% lemonade, 50% iced tea, and boom, we're ready to go. I found that shocking, as you can tell by my voice and my inflection here. It's crazy to me, but hey, there's a first time for everything, right, John?
I mean, I don't do the whole. I don't do Starbucks. I don't do any of that. Like when I go to the gas station, it's usually get a 12 pack or a case of beer on the way home if I have to, or to get gas, or if I go in there, which I usually never get anything from the gas station besides beer. If I don't ever. I used to get Gatorades a lot, when I was younger, but I stopped drinking all that stuff because it started upsetting my stomach. I guess maybe that's why I'm not into the Arnold Palmer stuff. I've never seen it before, but man, I'm glad you like it because I like to find new drinks. I'll try one, but it's. My kids don't drink them because my daughters every once in a while for Starbucks or something like that, or something that the teenage girls drink. My sons don't drink. Did you ever hear the Five Locos?
Yeah, Four Loco. Those were big here years ago. Again, I'm right outside of Detroit, and there was an issue. I believe it was at Central Michigan. It used to be like a tall can of fruit punch kind of liquor, but it had caffeine in it as well. So a lot of these kids in campuses, we're talking the same time I was in college, they were chugging these things and going to parties or chugging them and studying. And one day, I believe, several folks, kids, they unfortunately got sick and several of them passed away. And after that, there was a petition in the Four Loco. They've done away with the caffeine in the drinks. It's still an alcoholic beverage, but they took the caffeine out because they looked at it as kind of a Red Bull and vodka. Not a lot of folks are drinking that anymore because, the alcohol is a depressant, the caffeine is a stimulant, and together your heart doesn't know what to do. And then if kids are, smoking a little bit of weed or taking pills, who knows what the heck folks are doing. Yeah, so there was a class action lawsuit, I believe, allegedly, but they got rid of the caffeine in the Four Locos. You can still find them anywhere.
Yeah. My son drinks them. He comes home from college and he's like, "Hey, I love these Four Locos." Something else I'd never heard of before that I guess has been popular for 10 years because I'm old and I just drink Miller Lite and Jameson or High Life and Jameson anyway. So, as my wife says, high life or low life. That's kind of what I do. So
that's the move.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for going on tonight, man. This is commissioner evaluation, but we're going to go a different route today. We're going to not really kind of we'll do the interview process a little bit, but we're here to talk about DFS. This is things that I really don't dabble into too much. I'm not I'm the old school guy that goes talk to the bookie, stuff like that. Hey, I want this, I want that. I don't do it, but I'd like to see like all the situations. As I want to treat this as I know what they are. Obviously I see everybody talking about them, but I want for you to give me like a DFS for dummies, DraftKings for dummy, FanDuel for dummy, right from the get-go. When did you transition from let's just say from fantasy football? First of all, tell me about yourself. Tell me where all the place people can find you at, all your awesome hobbies, and then we'll jump into like when you transition from fantasy football into DFS stuff.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Chris. My real name is not Christopher Robin. It's Christopher Ronald DeBacker. That's a secret that a lot of folks don't know. And you want me to go all the way back to 84 when I was born at the hospital on the east side of Detroit here. But hey, when it comes to fantasy football and DFS, it was something I picked up probably right in its infancy, 2009, 2010, right when FanDuel, anywhere you went in that, time frame. I was driving home on the freeway right past the Silverdome at the time. I'm not kidding, on 75, and I heard a commercial for FanDuel, and it looked at like something. It was a new challenge, right? You and I, you specifically, we've been playing fantasy football, seasonal, redraft, dynasty for so long. I just looked at DFS as like a new challenge, something that could challenge myself, because I'm big into the strategic side of things, whether it be in relation to, let's say, zero RB, zero wide receiver, waiting on a quarterback in a super flex. So whatever it is, I was always wanting to try all that stuff, kind of challenge myself. And I looked at DFS as a new challenge, and boom, fast forward to right now, and I just made, not too long ago, just heading into the season, John, I didn't completely forego all the seasonal content, all the rankings and stuff, but I wanted to make a change here. If I was going to do something good, I wanted to go 100% all in, because last season, as we know, COVID was running rampant. It still is kind of here, but last season, I was doing 17 different articles for 17 different websites, and it was just kind of exhausting. I look back and I don't even know how I made it through that phase here, but to me, I had to focus on one thing, so I made the decision this season, more specifically, to just go all in on DFS. Just still do my rankings, which I'm going to give up now too, because I just want 100% DFS, and it's kind of freed me up, right? And I'm not saying I'm giving up on playing seasonal fantasy football or dynasty stuff. I'm still doing that stuff, but I just don't feel the need to kind of run that rat race, be on that hamster wheel, because there's literally thousands and thousands of folks who are very good at what they do in terms of broadcasting or writing, or little snippets of TikToks or whatever you're trying to do to kind of get your face out there, or get moving with your content here. To me, everything I do is best suited for the purpose of DFS. So that's why I made the decision. I've been happy ever since. And as the season kind of progresses, you kind of figure out stuff about yourself. Like I was telling you before we were live here, people love seeing my notes. I've been doing the notes, John, since 2009. I didn't think anybody cared about those. I thought maybe I was a weirdo or a sicko. Like, nobody cares about my handwritten notes, but come to find out, there's a lot of folks that use a pen and paper and they write things down, and boom, here we are. We're kind of, gelling together here. So to me, it's not necessarily about giving up on seasonal fantasy football. It's kind of finding what I'm good at, everybody else aside, what I'm good at, what I'm most passionate about, and that's DFS. So here we are, 100% all DFS. And to be fair, it was one of the better decisions I've ever made. This season has been outstanding in terms of not only views, numbers, clicks. I mean, that stuff will come and go, but the passion that you feel in your heart, right, for what you're doing. And I'm not trying to act like, how could I put this, like some sort of messiah here, and like DFS makes me feel this way. Not at all, but this was what genuinely makes me happy here, so I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to keep exploring things that make me happy and things that challenge me, and DFS is all those wrapped up into a bubble.
I absolutely love it that you found your niche. You found what you want to do. You find what everybody, like you said, everybody has their thing. Everybody has their thing. I was never really not into gambling, not into, too much. When the fantasy football's over with, I dabble in the playoffs. I do that kind of stuff, but I've never, it's come to a point now where now it's like, great. I could bet on yards. How many yards is, Devonta Freeman going to have this week? How many passing yards is Matt Ryan going to have this? How it's absolutely amazing that they broke it down to such small levels that you could bet and I'm a parlay. If I bet it all, it's parlays. It's usually 2-3 teams, but these 6 bet parlays and 8 bet parlays. And I don't know what the limit is on DraftKings or FanDuel, but man, and then you can cash out too. So if you're winning, you can kind of say, man, I'm going to take I got this far already. I'm gonna cash out right now and then just walk away with something instead of nothing at all. You're not sitting there waiting for Pittsburgh, for Ben Roethlisberger to fire him with the fall in the end zone on the last play of the game that just happened. Things like that. You're not waiting for him because you could just cash out and say, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm ahead of the game. I'm going to call it a day and then still walk away. But where does what did you, before DraftKings and FanDuel were around, was there other sites you used? Did you just kind of do this stuff for fun? Was there other avenues before those became popular? They've been around forever. Tell me about how you got started as far as like using those two sites or mainly those two sites anyway.
Yeah, and you said it in the opening of the show. You're more of a bookie guy, of course. I used to have a bookie. We're still friends. I mean, it's not like one of those like Law and Order specials where I make a bet and I can't pay it and I get my ankles broke with a baseball bat. I wasn't betting thousands and thousands of dollars, but yes, I would turn to someone, get a little action going, and boom, here we are. So, but to me, when I was very young, like under like at the tender age, as they say in these cop shows, we're talking like 10, 12 years old. I know everybody and their mother. I know you're going to know this. It was a ticket like this, and every team had a number, and then you just circled what you wanted at the bottom, and you cut it out, and you turn that in, and then on the back of the ticket, those were your odds. Like 4 picks, you would get 5 to 1, something along those lines. So my dad, growing up, my father worked at the like the DPW, you know, Department of Public Works, or the Water Board, just a bunch of civil servants. The police were there, fire trucks were, I mean, everybody was in kind of one building. So a guy had a knot of these tickets. He'd pass them out. You get them back before, you know, kickoff or something on Wednesday or Thursday. And then if you win, you hear from the guy. If you lost, boom, your money was already gone. I used to love doing those growing up in terms of football. And it had all the college games, the whole NFL ticket there. And then at certain times of the season when I was younger, there would be NHL, like goals, right? I didn't even know, to be honest with you, I learned about like the over-unders and in minus 175 money lines, or even in hockey, minus a goal and a half. I learned about all that stuff probably when I was about 10 years old, the hard way. I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to say anything to my dad. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, Dad, right? And I would just be getting fleeced. Granted, we're talking $5-10 at a time. You know, I had no job. I was a 10-year-old kid, but I was learning as I went. I've always done that, and to be honest with you, John, I've always learned my lessons the hard way. I guess that's just the way I'm built. But when you take it all the way back, I'm 37 now, so you're looking at 20 plus years of just playing over-unders and money lines here. And again, every single slate or every single week is different than the next. There's never been, in the history of sports gambling, there's never been 2 such slates that are alike, especially in DFS. So to me, we're going all the way back to like 1995, I should say, when I was betting and putting in these tickets, giving them to my dad. My dad would spot me $5 or $10, but to me, it was always about just having fun. And even way back then, I don't think I'm a degenerate gambler now. I have a nice roof over my head, a nice little career here. But to me, it always made the games more fun. Even when I'm 10 years old, it made it more interesting to me to watch Michael Jordan play, knowing I took the Bulls plus 5 points, or knowing I took the Bulls minus 5 points. So to me, it was always about that action, and I've never let go of that. Even now, as we turn our attention to the divisional, round of the playoffs here, it's going to be more fun to have a little bit of action here, watching Matthew Stafford play Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. That's what interests me the most. Yeah, the game is fun, but to sit around and talk about it, hey, if he throws this touchdown pass right here, oh wow, we're going to go to a nice little steak dinner. So it's all weird to person to person here, but I just love the action that it brings.
No, that action is fantastic. I guess, but being handcuffed in the past, most of the things you can only bet on baseball for in the past was, if you had a good pitcher pitching for the Dodgers or the Cubs or the White Sox when they were, at their peak, it was like, all right, cool. Or even nowadays, but it's like minus 220 or minus 230, and it's like, But now these games have offered so many more with hits and how many walks or how many pitches this guy's gonna. We used to go to the game, get a strip card, $10 person, $5 person, and you look at the pitch count. And every pitcher that came in, you change the card, and you get a new guy, new pitch count. Whoever won that one gets 90, gets $100. So I get $10 for running the card, that kind of deal. But now there's just so many more options. You could bet on anything. It's amazing how far these have come, and I feel like I'm behind the curve because I'm not betting 5. I see Nick, Toddy, Todd, a bunch of other guys, yourself, putting things on that are here. Team Stafford. Jamo says Team Stafford. There's this. It's amazing how the combinations you could bet on and the things you could bet on now too. It literally is like going from the original ESPN settings, like to go into the MFL and the way you can bet now and the things you can bet, like we're talking fantasy football terms, because you could make so many things happen. Your parlay doesn't have to just be, okay, it's going to be the Blackhawks and then I'm going to put the Bulls and something else on that night that's on TV. You can bet on anything. I love that. I love the liquidity, I guess I could call it, of being able to add so many things into one bet. It's fantastic. It's just amazing to me anyway.
No doubt.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no doubt, that's genuinely what we're doing here, just getting action. And again, and not one time in my life have I made a bet in hopes I was going to make it big, or I never go into a DFS slate, counting my chickens before they hatch, let's say. It's all fun. It's all within reason, right? And I do want to say, I say this every once in a while in my broadcasting or in my content, within reason. Don't bet money you can't lose. That's a bad move. It's a bad look. I know, as I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol here, I know that betting can be a crutch, or you can lose it all. Just don't bet what you can't lose. And I know it's easier said than done, on a Tuesday night, the two of us guys hanging out saying that. But again, I've never been in a situation where I bet my deed in my house and I had nowhere to go. But I know that that's not making it right here. But to me, it's just little drips and drabs to just maybe sweeten the pot when you're watching a game. When you're watching an uninteresting game, that kind of makes it more interesting.
It makes it way more interesting. It makes so much more interesting. And like I said, I'm a parlay guy because I don't like to bet a lot. I don't want to put a $500 bet to win, to win that much money. I don't want to put $1,000 bet, or some people 10, 20. It's amazing how what people will put up, and people can afford that kind of stuff too. But what I like to do is I like to do 16 parlays for $25, kind of stuff like that once a week, and sit back and hopefully those things work. But again, that's not with DraftKings. Now, I could do those things, 16 parlays on how many running back, how many yards, Javonte Williams will have, and how many this, with this upcoming slate of playoff games, we'll go through it a little bit. But there's so many. Every game I could bet 6 things. I could have a 16 parlay for the first quarter. It is actually amazing. What is your favorite? Which one of the sites are your favorite? FanDuel, DraftKings? Are they both kind of about the same? And what did you notice the difference between both of them?
No, I'm strictly a FanDuel guy, but if you notice, all my content is geared towards both formats: FanDuel, DraftKings, and even my daily fantasy, my daily single game slate, and bottom of the barrel. I added the Yahoo DFS site, which is very underrated. It's very underutilized. The Yahoo one, the pricing is completely different. When you look at this weekend, Josh Allen, $8,800 on FanDuel, $7,600 on DraftKings. Then on Yahoo, he's $45. So there's all three sites formats are completely different in terms of pricing, but one thing stays the same: the players and the DVP and the opposing teams and the matchups here. But to me, John, I'm 100% the FanDuel guy, not only DFS, but also in the sports book here. Now, look, I'm not throwing any shade. I have no issue with DraftKings. It's just not for me. And in a way, I see a lot of folks on social media that dabble in all three or two of them. More power to them. That just seems like an exhausting, taxing. It sounds exhausting to me. To anybody else, I don't care what they do, but to me, John, I'm a big FanDuel only guy.
Did you ever go through both of them and find a discrepancy and be like, oh, it's 5.5 here or 5 there, and trying to find the better odds, or did you just kind of stick with your guns and say, this is what they're throwing at me, so I'm going to stay with FanDuel?
As a sports gambling guy, you can shop around your bets. Now, I'm not talking DFS. I'm talking about, point spreads on a football game. You can shop that around anywhere you go. When you look at, let me bring up what I have here. If you look at the schedule here this weekend, Cincinnati right now, they're getting 3.5 points. You can shop that around and you can tease that every which way but Sunday here. So it doesn't matter what website you go to, because before FanDuel and the DraftKings Sportsbook were made available, you had all kinds of stuff. The Action Network or Caesars they've made a big push at this stuff now. So that the point spreads, there's always going to be a discrepancy, but again, you can tease this stuff. So right now, I could probably get massive odds if I teased Tennessee getting 25 points. We know you can find that now on the FanDuel Sportsbook or the DraftKings Sportsbook. So to me, it's just the user ability, right? And I guess in a way, I'm a loyal dude. I love FanDuel. That's where I learned to play DFS. That's where I'm going to do my sports betting, and that's it. We know a lot of folks like that. You're either Sam's Club or you're Costco. You're the Pepsi guy or you're a Coke guy. So it's all the same. It's just the way humans are wired, and to me, I love FanDuel the most.
Okay, if I was a new guy who wanted to dabble in this and never saw it before, how would you explain to somebody how it works? Just like what we're kind of doing, like for dummies here right now. Like myself, I'm a newbie at this stuff. I just downloaded these apps a couple days ago, and I'm looking to to start learning how to play. And that's one of the reasons I had you on too, not only for myself, but for listeners who might want to, Like, hey, tell me why you chose what you chose, and if step one, step two, step three DFS. How do you learn? How do you get better? How do you advance your winnings, I guess you'd say, or have your better odds with the situation you have?
Sure. I mean, that we're going to be here till this time tomorrow. Then, if I went over everything I knew, but to me, the first commercial I ever heard for FanDuel was the tagline: "Is your seasonal fantasy team? Are you sick of all these injuries?" And we're talking 2010, 11 years later. Are you sick of these injuries? Is your seasonal fantasy team done and over with? We'll come to DraftKings or FanDuel, where every week it's a new week. And I know on FanDuel you get 60,000 fictitious dollars to kind of fill in a lineup here, and each player costs X amount of money. Like this week, as I said, Josh Allen, $8,800 on FanDuel. Ryan Tannehill, $7,300. So to me, it's like this one big giant puzzle, and we're never going to actually piece it together correctly. Maybe once or twice in your life can you hit the Millie Maker, and you see all these premium websites, that boast and brag. We have this guy won the Millie Maker 17 times. That's outstanding. You know what? It's more power to you. But then we get into a situation where, like two Joes like us, it's all about a bankroll. If I can have 150 entries in a contest, I'm going to win big. It's just a game of percentages. If there's 150 entries and I can put in all of those, it's like fishing, John. I'm sure you like to fish. If I put more hooks in the water than you, I'm going to catch more fish. But to me, it's all about figuring out contest selection, who you're playing with. I've always logged, the entries that I've been in, and then I go back. A lot of websites are doing that now. Most importantly, Team Rise or Fall, they do a lineup rewind where they enter a contest and they let it play out, win or lose, and they go back through it and they say, well, the winning lineup, this is what they had in, and this is what we were thinking. This is where we can revisit it next week. So to me, it's like a never-ending challenge that I'll never be able to figure out, but I'm going to keep trying every day, every week, and I'm going to go for there. So to me, it's all about using this fictitious money to get the best possible lineup of players possible. But then in itself, that gets strange, right? There's running backs and wide receivers and who's playing who. I mean, so to me, it's just a riddle wrapped up in enigma, and I'm going to keep fighting the good fight because I really love doing this stuff.
All right. So you take the time every week to write down a sheet, a half sheet, a full sheet, 2 sheets, 5 sheets of these notes every week that you think are good plays. Is it stuff that you see that like on FanDuel that you look at and you say, this is wrong, this is right. There's no way that's going to happen, or this is going to be this is going to be this is a slam dunk with nobody guarding me kind of play. What do you come up? What goes into your making up these notes every week when you see the odds and the player props and stuff?
Well, to me, I'm smart enough to realize that Vegas really does have it all figured out. So the foundation of my DFS work is all about the point spreads, right? The over unders when that line opens, right? So let's say last week the game, or actually Monday, yesterday, the final game, it was final, right? So boom, Monday night right after the game, Tuesday morning, the Vegas lines come out about the matchups the following week. So I write all that stuff down, and the lines change over time over the next few days in terms of over-unders, plus minus points here. But to me, the foundation, John, is what Vegas is doing in terms of over-under and the point spreads in this one. Second, I dig into each game in terms of DVP, defense versus player, right? So to me, when you look at, I know I keep referencing Josh Allen, but that's what I have in front of me. Bottom of the barrel, my notes are done. I'm typing it out. To me, Buffalo at Kansas City, I believe they play on Sunday, the last game on Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs are 31st overall against opposing quarterbacks. So to me, that's a good ding, 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 right? Josh Allen is a massive play. But again, there's only 4 games total, right? It's broken down. Saturday only, Sunday only, or one big slate. But to me, the foundation is always Vegas lines, and next step is DVP. Where's the green matchups? Where can I get over on, folks? And then I dig into, opposing cornerbacks, opposing linebackers. I mean, it can get exhausting, but once you have a little bit of success, once someone tells you, you know what, Chris, I don't know what you're doing, but it's working, I then want to redouble my effort. So to me, it's just a large puzzle, and it starts with the Vegas odds for me.
I don't do IDP or stuff like that, but did you get into like massive fantasy football leagues in order to figure out. Like you had to learn about the linebackers and learn about the safeties and learn about defensive line and switches and rotations and how many plays they get. And like Vita Vea plays nose tackle or defensive tackle when they play a 4-3. Like he's going to have so many more plays or so many less plays. Like, how did you get into defensive DFS? Because that intrigues me. Being somebody, I don't do IDP. I got a lot of things going on in my life besides fantasy football, and I don't even think I can go down to the IDP window, let alone know. I mean, you could track numbers and stuff, how many plays these guys plays, how many sacks, how many whatever, but how do you know defensive players as well as offensive players to know what they're going to do or have a good educated guess or your opinion or your theory on what they're going to be doing on every Sunday? Just I guess I know it's game by game and it's matchup consistent, but what gives you that edge? Or what do you think gives you that edge to know the defensive players more than just offensive players that everybody knows?
I guess it all boils down to how interested you are in this thing. If you're just ho-hum, right? You look at, I'm going to make a weird comparison, and then I'll answer your question here. A lot of folks in their careers, like if you're going to be a medical doctor, that's like at least an 8-year kind of thing in terms of medical school, then your rotations, internships. I mean, you have to have some real interest there to carry that through. So if you're not into the defensive players or if you're not into fantasy football, then why the heck are you going to play DFS or fantasy football? Most folks, you can just by a click of your thumb, you can get an optimized lineup, or you can turn your attention to someone and they'll say, this is who you're going to start, this is who you're going to sit. But to me, I've been a fan of all sports, most importantly all the Detroit sports, since a little kid, and it just so happens I do love IDP as well. I've been one of my longest leagues. It's like been 20 years running. It's a 14-team full IDP. So at a very young age, I would say about 15 years ago, I started getting into the defensive formations in terms of linebackers, on what team, the cornerbacks and stuff. So to me, no matter what the story is, if there's no interest there, you're going to have no focus on it. So to me, I love the interesting side of both offense and defense. And to me, it kind of gives you another little skill set that maybe the next guy wouldn't have. And in a way, if you're looking for an edge, that's a small little price to pay to maybe get an edge on somebody else. So I've always been in the IDP leagues, or even before those even existed. I love watching the defense play. And again, I know sites and sites on end here where you can find, depth charts and rosters. And as soon as the draft is final, they're adding their guys in. And I look at that stuff almost every day. I update it every day and I look at it. And if I have to, I'll write some notes down. But again, what I do is not even any interest to anybody else, because if the passion for you about it isn't there, then why are you going to care about waking up and checking depth charts? It's like, well, who cares? You're like, I might as well be talking Chinese or in space right now.
Great. It makes tons of sense, and it's great. I mean, I'm glad that you're answering these questions the way you are, because these are the things that I thought, but I wasn't sure, and I wasn't, I don't know exactly how people would just. What if you played soccer your whole life, or you played, like someone like Nick, or what if you played, what if you played other sports? You have no idea what's going on in the NFL.
No.
You just kind of like, hey, I'd like to dabble in this. I think this is going to happen. That's going to happen. Sure, it's fun and stuff like that, but are you just kind of throwing your money away because everybody wants to have fun and just, I'll bet $5 or $10, or you start out, they start you off at 100, they'll match you $100 or $150 or $200 depending on what weekend or what promotion they have. So everybody wants to have fun and dabble at it, but how prepared do you really have to be to join one to start getting in here? I mean, I know you learn as you go a lot, but if you're not constantly like anything else, if you're not looking at injury reports for the NFL and you start guys on Sunday who are out or I got COVID or it's, if you're not prepared, how do you do this?
Yeah, and that's fine. Here's the thing. There's folks that play PGA DFS, golf DFS, Ultimate Fighter DFS, soccer DFS. They even have like League of Legends, which is a video game DFS. I know nothing about any of those, so I stay the heck out of it. I don't bother folks with it. And hey, I know folks that probably, as we're broadcasting right now, somebody on another broadcast is going, I love golf, I love UFC, I love, video game, and I know nothing about hockey or football, and I respect those people. So to me, as long as there's mutual respect, we're able to do as we please here. But again, if there's no interest for that specific thing, then why even bother with it? And again, I know a lot of people. I used to be one of those people. If you're in an office setting, right, and we're doing our yearly Super Bowl squares, or we're doing our yearly fantasy football draft. Some of those folks, they don't know hide nor hair of any of these people. They've never heard of Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes. They just do it because it's kind of a like an office party thing. It kind of builds camaraderie between folks. I respect those people too. You know why? Because they're just having fun. They're not writing. They're not putting together a broadcast. They're not trying to make a living at doing what we're doing. So why the hell would they care about this? And in turn, whatever they're doing for their career, if they're in an office setting, that's not me. So I don't care what they're doing. They don't care what I'm doing, but there's mutual respect. So that's what I think is the most important.
Fantastic answer. I love it. I love it. So we brought these notes up a couple times, and like, let's just say the Bengals Titans game this week. Everybody loves the Bengals. Everybody hates Ryan Tannehill right now. He's been kind of not. He was supposed to be. He was quarterback 3 last year, right? I think as far as PPR is concerned. This year, the team fell apart. Losing Derrick Henry in the play action pass kind of screwed him a little bit. Losing his receivers. What do you got for notes for this week's game? Like, what would you write down as far as like player pops and stuff like that? What DFS lineup are you? Just to say you were doing that one individual game. What do you look at in a game like this that would that interest you or would interest somebody else or make sense on the props that are made for this Bengals Titans game?
Sure, I've been doing this all season with my like a single game video. Right now, I do the video, I record it, I publish it, and then I share a photo of my notes and I highlight what players are my core, what players we should pivot to. And the first thing I looked at when we're talking about Cincinnati at Tennessee, the easiest thing for me to do after like the point spreads, that's only going to get you so far, especially when we're down to 8 teams left, and that's it here. So we're looking at 4 different games, and when we talk about Cincinnati in Tennessee, when we look down this thing, Tennessee is first overall against running back. So to me, kind of make me second guess Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, or Chris Evans. But Tennessee 31st overall against opposing wide receivers. So ding ding, that leads me to believe I want to be all in on Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. On the opposite side of things, Cincinnati Bengals they're top 12 against opposing wide receivers. AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Nick Westbrook-Akine. So already I'm kind of developing a picture in terms of a DFS single game slate here where I'm going to stack the Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers. I'm probably going to get a little taste of Derrick Henry, and I'm going to fade Cincinnati tight ends because Tennessee they're 5th overall against opposing tight ends. I'll probably fade Tannehill. So to me, it's all about DVP, right? The defense versus a specific player group here. So to me, it's just that easy, right? I look at it, I can see the green, I can see the red, and I don't even care what the player name is. I'm looking at the position matchups. If this team A is not good against, this positional group, that's where I'm going to pluck it. So to be honest with you, anybody that was going to be playing wide receiver for Cincinnati on Saturday, that's where I want to go. Anybody that's playing tight end for Tennessee this weekend, that's where I'm going to go because Cincinnati 28th overall against opposing tight ends. And again, I know I can get a little carried away. I start going here, but that's just how my mind works. I see it and boom, I'm done. Pen's written, and there we go.
So you're telling me that Anthony Firkser is going to finally pan out, right?
Him or Jeff Swaim, absolutely. They're both in bottom of the barrel. When you look at Fisker and Swaim, they're absolutely cheap. And again, the DVP matchup is sweet. And when you look back, Frisco, Green Bay, Rams, Tampa, Buffalo, Kansas City, granted, we're going to have Kelsey on the slate. We're going to have Tyler Higbee on the slate. And now we get into a situation where we're talking only, like I said, 4 games. We're talking about ownership percentage. 80% ownership on Travis Kelsey? Sure, but is it as good of a play as we think it is? Well, you know what? I'm going to kind of buck the system here, and I'm going to go for a cheap option in a good spot, Anthony Firkser or Jeff Swaim.
Right. Those guys, they massively underproduced this year. Firkser was supposed to be everybody's. He was the dark horse this season to finish as a tight end, top 10 tight end. Everybody thought that because of his situation, because got hurt a little bit, he didn't really pan out. The team kind of fell apart. But where do you are you going to have a whole setup for each individual game? Or are you going to kind of mix and match games? Are you going to do both? Are you going to have a little bit dabbling everybody across the board? Like, tell me how you plan on when you're attacking this weekend. You're all set up already. It's Tuesday.
Correct.
You already got your notes planned out. I'm sure they're going to change a little bit, as far as like when injury concerns come in, or possibly any COVID situations or anything else that comes into. But I mean, you'll adapt to that, no problem. But how are you attacking this weekend? As far as, tell me about a little bit about how you plan on attacking this week with 4 games going on. How do you plan on attacking this DFS this weekend?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, my content, which is most important to me, I'm attacking everything. Bottom of the barrel will be out soon. That encompasses all 4 games. And since there's only 4 games, I'm going to do a specific DFS video for each game. So you're going to see 4 different pages of notes, one for each game. That's my content. That's for everybody. That's what I'm kind of paid to do. But personally speaking, when I'm betting and playing DFS, to be honest with you, I don't know how well received this is going to be, but I'm actually considering, John, taking the weekend off of playing DFS from a football perspective, taking the weekend off of placing bets. We're looking at what? Would realistically be like week 20 of the NFL season, and we've all been going nonstop since the preseason here, and I'm tired. I'm looking to rest and relax, and as these games are getting shaved down, I'm becoming more and more I just want to rest and relax. Yes, I have a responsibility to the website I work for. I have a responsibility to the folks that want to read my content. That stuff will be there. But personally, when the first game locks on Saturday, I'm going to have my legs back and my legs up and my head back because I want to rest and relax. So to me, in terms of betting and playing DFS, that itch comes and goes. And yeah, I'll probably have a couple lineups, but it won't be single game slates. I've never really liked single game slates. So I'll have probably 10 or 20 lines in the overall on FanDuel. You can play one lineup for all 4 games here. So that's probably where I'm heading in terms of sports betting. I'm done and over with the rest of the season here with football. I just want to rest and get some relaxation here, John.
I know exactly. I tell you what, I was in a league when I was in 19 leagues this year, but I was in 7 Super Bowls one year, and literally the morning of like fantasy football Super Bowls anyway. And the last week of the season, I just had my brain stopped working. I was just tired of setting lineups. I was like, man, it was so exhausting. So I get it. I get it where people are coming from, like just doing the research, I couldn't imagine doing all you do every week and looking at every single player at every single position, every single matchup. I don't know. I mean, is there a trick to getting this far without being exhausted already? I mean, because there's nothing better when the fantasy football season is over with and just taking the next month and a half and, like you said, breathing, just watching, enjoying football. Because I started playing football in 4th grade. I played all the way through high school. I played in college for a year. I love the game. I started watching it before I started playing. I coached my kids. I watched my kids play when they were in high school, and I enjoy the game of football, and this is the best time of year for me. Don't get me wrong; I love the comparison, the shit talk and all the stuff that goes in with fantasy football. But there's nothing better than sitting back and just enjoying the game of football. So I understand that 100%. I know where you're coming from on that one.
Yeah, well, to me, you asked of me how do you make it this far in a way, of constantly churning out content. And I can't really answer that for other folks because everybody's different. Some people's, tolerance for all this is higher than others, and maybe it's not. I don't know where other folks stand, but as far as I'm concerned, what works for me is, with my regular real life career, I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I probably wouldn't be able to do this if I was married and I had kids because it's just nonstop. But that's what I enjoy. That's where I get action from, right? Is writing and broadcasting and connecting with folks, good dudes like you here. But to me, every Sunday, and again, I said it earlier, I don't know how well received this is going to be here, but to me, later in the season, I take 1 day a week and just completely disconnect. No phone, no computer, the TV's barely on, whatever I'm reading, resting, maybe I'll put on some streaming options, I don't know, but as of late, it's been Sunday. I read, I write, I broadcast 6 days a week, so then when Sunday comes around, I'm over it. I'm full of it, and I'm done, and I don't want to watch watch football. And again, as a guy who writes and broadcasts, professional football stuff or college DFS here, a lot of folks, I would imagine in other bigger positions and bigger websites, that's a no-no. That's like a PR nightmare to go, yeah, this is all I do, but then on Sunday, the guy don't even watch football. How can we trust this dummy to give us the right information if he's not even watching the games here? Well, look, here's the thing. I have a nice, it's taken me years and years to kind of work out a routine here in terms of when I start my notes, when I want to finish them, when I want to have my graphics done. You know what I mean? Just from start to finish, every day of the week, hour by hour, so that when Sunday comes around, that's my day. I have nothing planned on Sundays aside from my morning broadcasting commitments. And once that's over, phone is gone, computer's gone, and I rest and relax. But to me, John, that's just me. I can't speak to how other people kind of unwind or how someone can get certainly this far in some sort of broadcasting writing perspective here. But what works for me is, and I'll say it one more time, betting and playing DFS isn't the end-all be-all for me. At this stage, I'm getting more action writing and broadcasting and interacting with folks. That's more action to me than actually flipping playing DFS or making sports bets. So no matter what we're doing, isn't it always this infinite chase for action? I want to play DFS. I want to get my sports bets in because I want action. I want to win money. But to me, the action is in the relationships I'm making during the course of my writing, during the course of my broadcasting. So when Sunday comes around, I'm happy-go-lucky. I'm in peace. I can hang out, eat, and do it. I can lay in my underwear all day if I want. So to me, the action is in my content.
What happens when the season changes and it starts getting the NHL and baseball and everything else like that? I mean, when does it stop?
Well, it really doesn't. NHL has been going on for about 2 months now, and if you didn't know, I also do DFS, NHL DFS, MLB DFS, and right now, NFL will always trump anything in terms of writing or broadcasting across the board here. But once the NFL is done, I can make a soft transition into NHL because this whole time, I don't know if anybody knows it, I'm still doing my NHL DFS scores. Everything's found at Team Rise or Fall. But then once I'm officially done and the Super Bowl is over, I'll take a week or two. I'll still upload my course, and then when that feeling comes, when I get sport to sport, I'm sure you know this too. When I have the feeling like, bam, I'm ready to dive in on hockey, then I'll start doing my graphics. Then I'll start doing a couple broadcasts here and there. And I'm so lucky to have that creative freedom at Team Rise or Fall. That's why I went over there, because nobody ever tells me no. Nobody ever tells me you got to do this. So it's all in a nice little routine, a nice little rhythm. So after football is over, can take a week or two, collect my mind, and boom, we're off and running with NHL. And guess what? Spring training starting around that same time. So bam, we're back with MLB. So there will come a point here, probably April or May, where I'm pumping out 2 graphics a day. And John, just to look behind the scenes, those NHL and MLB stat graphics I do, those take 10 minutes. So to me, they look like they're elaborate or they look like they're professionally done. Probably not. I made that up. But to me, those graphics are easy peasy, and that's really all that's expected of me, along with a video here and there. It's nothing like NFL DFS. That is just like full bore. We want your firstborn. You have to live and do everything for NFL DFS. So once football is done, I can breathe. I can quit talking so loud as I am now and just be in peace.
It is a transition from, this is the first year I didn't have a fantasy hockey team, and it kind of kills me because all my leagues kind of fell apart. But it's such a nice transition when when all your fantasy football leagues are done with, and you're starting one hockey team ever. You get up, you go to the bathroom, look at your team. All right, there's some days you can't even start anyway. There's no games going on. There's sometimes there's one game a day, and it's like, all right, I'll start. It's a game of free agency as far as that goes. But it is, when you say transition, I know exactly what you mean by transition, because hockey is just such a it's so underrated as far as a fantasy sport's concerned, because I absolutely love it. And I miss not having a league in hockey to transition. Now it's been like a week since fantasy football has been gone, or 2 weeks. And I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do now? I feel like naked. And like, I'm ready to get back into something now. And I feel bad that I didn't get into fantasy hockey league this year, but but I understand that the transition it's a good way that you explained it.
No doubt. And to be honest, fun fact about me, John, hockey is without a doubt my favorite real life sport. I love ice hockey. Heck, I'm in Hockey Town, the Wings, they're starting to show a little bit of promise. So to me, hockey is without a doubt in my life my favorite thing to do. So it's just only natural that if you love hockey and you talk about depth charts and in the four Russian kids, Swedish kids, whatever it is, to me, hockey is the most fun. And to be fair, it's the most profitable DFS sport for me personally, because I'm not saying I dig as deep in NFL as I do with hockey. I just enjoy it just a little bit more, and that just goes to show you or show me when there's a little bit of joy in what you're doing, you're going to go that extra step, you're going to go that extra mile. So to me, I love hockey. I cannot do without my hockey, and MLB is a close second. And one more fun fact, football is just a necessary evil for me. Of course, everybody loves football, but honestly, John, I would prefer hockey and baseball over football. So hopefully, if this video gets 1 million views, I might be ousted as a fraud because all I do is football stuff. But football's not even my favorite sport. It's hockey and it's baseball.
You know what? It's not by any means. If you're good at if you're better at hockey, if you're better at NFL, if you're better at that's one thing. But if you enjoy doing all of them, then you're never. It's again, everybody says if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, kind of thing. And if this is what you love to do, is just watch games and put out good content, every week for people to see what you suggest for your DFS stuff. That's not working, man. You're just sitting back. You're enjoying life. You're winning at the game of life, as far as I'm concerned, with that kind of stuff. So
I think so. Thank you. I think so. And again, it's all everybody's normal is different. I think not to mention a tweet of mine, but I said that earlier this morning. Everybody's normal is different. What you do works for you, and what you do probably doesn't work for me, and vice versa. So it's all in the eye. They say that too. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I can't tell folks, what they should do in terms of content in writing here. It's all up to you to kind of decide. It's up to you as an individual to kind of figure that out as you go. I can't do it for you. John can't do it for you. You got to do it for yourself here. And in a way, that's kind of beautiful too. You're going to fail a lot, but again, if you're doing it the right way, failure, it leads you to some sort of breakthrough. I failed so much in terms of DFS. I fail every day, but it's a lesson learned if you don't make the same mistake twice. I think that's the saying, and we're just filled with corny cliches tonight, John.
That's okay. No big deal. I think you need to. If you go into this stuff thinking that everything you put together is going to be a winner, or there's no way. You have to set yourself up a budget for the week, $50, $100, $20, whatever you want to spend every week, and stick to that. If you win something, throw it in your pocket, save it for next week, play with your winnings. I think that's kind of the trick to it. Just be happy and just kind of don't overextend yourself and, have a blast. What's your for this weekend? I know you don't mind. I hope you don't mind sharing. Like, what would be your best slate for DFS this weekend?
Well, when you're looking, I have it all in front of me here. There's a Saturday only, which is 2 games, obviously. Cincinnati at Tennessee, and then San Francisco at Green Bay. Boom, cut it. And then there's a second slate, Sunday only, the Rams at Tampa Bay, and then Buffalo at Kansas City. And I'm going to work this out as I go. I already have my final scores and what direction I would want to go to bet in each game, but you're asking me, I think to me personally, the Saturday only DFS slate seems more enticing to me, and I'll tell you why. You're going to say, well, Stafford versus Tom Brady, that's outstanding. And then we're going to get basically the de facto AFC Championship game. Josh Allen and the Bills head to Kansas City to take on Mahomes, and that's just going to be fireworks. The over-under is going to be at like 75 by the time it kicks off here. But to me, when you look at that Sunday-only game slate, right, you're going to have to decide. You're going to have to decide Mahomes, Josh Allen, or if you're going to enter a couple hundred entries here, you're going to have to split it down the middle. You're going to have to kind of quadruple that. You're going to have Stafford in a bunch, Tom Brady in a bunch, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes here. When you go back to the Saturday slate, it's fairly simple. There's not too much work to do. It's basically, and I'm not being rude here, but it's just about Aaron Rodgers, and that's really the only quarterback I think we have to worry about on Saturday in terms of our DFS starting quarterback. Now, again, in my writing, obviously Joe Burrow makes for a nice play. I could make a case for for Ryan Tannehill. I could make a case for Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe Trey Lance gets a little bit of action. But from a sensationalism point of view, Sunday is going to be where all the action is. Stafford, Brady, Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people are going to flock to that Sunday-only slate, and in turn, it's going to be watered down. There's going to be people that have never played DFS in their life, and that'll be the player that wins $1 million in the Millie Maker, just building a line, based on what color jersey they like or something. So to me, from a strategic standpoint, I think the Saturday only fits best for what I like to do in terms of a strategic standpoint.
Yeah, 55 is that over/under for that Bills-Chiefs game.
It's only going to go up. It's only Tuesday, right? And it opened at 55. And I could literally see a case here where we're looking at 59 total points in this one. And again, rightfully so. I think Buffalo hangs 30 plus points. I think Kansas City hangs 30 plus points. So to me, that game is well warranted. Until the over/under in that game gets to about 75, I'm going to take the over.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. And then Kansas City's at home, and they're only getting 2.5. That means that everybody out thinks the Bills are going to win this game, right? I mean, everybody's betting the Bills with that.
No doubt.
So
Buffalo's getting point. Buffalo right now is getting 2.5 points, which is wild to me. And again, as the week goes on, I don't know if too many folks know this, but we have a say in terms of swaying the lines here. If a lot of folks continue to take Buffalo +2, it might wind up being a pick'em by the time kickoff is, where it's just even and or Kansas City -1 or Buffalo -1 here. That would be a huge swing, but I've seen it all season. So to me, it's all about us and which direction we're going to go. In no way do I think Buffalo is going to be +2 with the time Sunday afternoon comes around before kickoff.
Yeah, all the big sharks are going to come in, and then just throw their money on, Sunday, Saturday afternoon, or Sunday, usually it's like Thursday or Friday. The big sharks come in and drop all their money, right?
Yep.
Start seeing the lines really move.
No, right. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, Buffalo, Kansas City, by the time kickoff, I believe that game is at, 6:30? By the time we kick that one off, it might be a pick'em, which is like 1 point one way or another. That is absolutely. I wish we could bet on where the betting line is going to move. Can you imagine that? We're betting on the betting line moving to. It just blows. My mind is going to explode.
I throw a lot of money on the line moving at least 4 or 5 points in that Buffalo KC game. Yeah,
no doubt.
So that's it. You know what? This is kind of I just had to ask you a handful of questions about what you thought, what was going through your head, why you play the DFS stuff, and what you look for, and what else can you tell anybody about this stuff that that you've learned through your experiences? Yeah,
you know what? And I'm not saying this to sound like a. Like I'm high and mighty. I'm not the end all be all for anything. I'm in no way a gatekeeper for DFS, but as you know, John, you're an accessible man. I'm sure a lot of folks DM you and, hey, John, I see you do what can I? People DM me all the time, just asking for help or asking. Yeah, me too. Leo DiCaprio's turning them down and they're coming to me, so I gotta, come up with an answer. But realistically, people DM me all the time just to say hi and or ask questions in terms of not only, my DFS picks or my sports betting picks, but hey, Chris, you're accessible. How do you grow your following, or how do you have so much success with your content or with what you're doing? And I tell them the same thing. It's not, I don't have, this magic fairy dust on me. It's just being accessible, being a good person, taking the time to kind of, work with other people. If you're going to be a rude jackass, right, no one's going to give a crap about you. They're going to drag your name through the mud. But honestly, without sounding like an egomaniac, because I promise you, John, I'm not here, just be kind, right? Be accessible, be kind, give your time and attention to people that deserve it, right? If you get someone in your inbox or commenting on your stuff on a Google search or social media that says, you know what, you're a dummy, you're a jackass, your picks suck, just kill them with kindness, or don't even reply at all. Not everybody deserves a reply. It's user friendly in terms of where you want to put your effort, where you want to turn your time to. So give back to the folks that that deserve your time here. And again, some would say, well, who are you to kind of pick and choose who deserves your time? Well, guess what? It's my time. I'm allowed to kind of allot where I'm going to spend my time. And those folks, they know who they are. You're kind, you're gentle, you're good-hearted here. So just be a good person. I know people say it all the time. I probably sound like a fool here, but just be nice, be kind, be accessible, and be open and honest. Smoke and mirrors, lying, talking shit, that's going to get you nowhere. And I didn't know this broadcast was going to go down this road here, but to me, just be an open book. If you're always telling the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I lived that life before, John, telling lie after lie, and then I have to remember who I told what lie to, and it's exhausting. If you're open, you're honest, you're clean about your intentions, only good will happen.
Yourself, Tyler, Justin Karp, Nick Script, a handful of other people that are just creme de la creme. You guys don't have the followers you have because you're shooting out bullshit or trying to, like you said, it's enjoyable to be just click on Twitter and see you respond to people every day. You're on my Twitter timeline with just not only your content, but just saying, hey, shooting shit, talking to people, having a good time, like laughing with people. Being accessible is, it makes people want, myself anyway, want to follow you, want to see what you're talking about. I trust you. I meeting you in person, Chris. You were one of the top 3 people, and that I couldn't wait to shake your hand, say hi, and you walked up, gave me a big hug. It's you have no idea how you're a major part of my experience on the Twitter machine. Sometimes it gets a little rough, or I say some stupid shit, or everybody says stupid shit once in a while. But I tell you what, man, it's a pleasure watching you do what you do on the Twitter machine and the things you do every day, and then the stuff you contribute is just it's all cream on top of the pie. Thank you so much for being you.
You got it, yeah, and you're a great dude, and everybody at P2W, Nick himself. We had a little back and forth, I believe it was yesterday or maybe Sunday, when you kind of announced I was coming on, and it's not even a big deal. It's just 2 dudes talking football, talking life, talking DFS, and I remember we'd have to go a full year and a half ago. Me and Nick were broadcasting together using our phones. We didn't have microphones. We're using our Apple phone with the little, we got to talk into it like this to be heard loud and clear, and guess what? Me, Nick, even Kevin at Du Bois and Mendy at Triple Play, we all broadcasted together so much last season. And look, we're all adults, that we all have families and other careers, and we do this, and we haven't broadcasted together in a long time. But guess what? We've all taken a different path, and guess what? We've all had different amounts of success because just dudes talking football, being kind, being accessible, being open to change, or being open to constructive criticism here. So everybody at P2W, shout out to Nick and Mendy and Kevin. Those are my guys. We don't talk often really anymore, but it's all the same love. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. I can't tell you how much I want to thank you for coming on tonight. This is kind of all the stuff I wanted to hear and listen and, get right from the horse's mouth. And just thanks a lot, man. It means a lot to me. I can't wait. When I looked at the schedule, and the Hawks do not play in Detroit the rest of the season. So I got a lot of free time on my hands. I'm on a 4-on-4 off schedule. So literally, if they were playing, I was going to head up there to Detroit and make a trip and go see it, just hang out for a little bit for a night, whatever, kind of have a good time.
Yeah.
Catch a hockey game, but.
We'll be all right. The football, baseball season's coming up, and plus some work stuff. I won't say it live on the show. I'll text you here, but I have a conference for work scheduled in Chicago, probably in a month or 2. I put it off last month, but it's coming up, so I might be in Chicago in about a month and a half for some work stuff. In worst case, we'll get together at I don't know if you're a Sox guy or a Cubs guy, but I'll be in Chicago this summer, no doubt, to catch a ball game.
I am a Sox fan. From day one, we used to, we get tickets for White Sox games every week, every month when you read a book at school. You get a bus pass and a White Sox ticket. That was kind of thing. So you took the 53 at North Pulaski to Archer 35th, right to the stadium, and then you took the same thing back home. And that was so the girls never really used the tickets too much. A lot of them weren't really they were more into they weren't really sports fans as far as the White Sox are concerned, Cubs or Blackhawks, stuff like that. But so we used up all the tickets all the time. My mom was a Sox fan. She grew up in Bridgeport. We're right by the stadium, so right by Comiskey Park. I still call it Comiskey Park. It's never going to be whatever it's called now. But
U.S. Cellular Field, if I'm not mistaken.
It's Comiskey Park. It'll never change. So, but yeah, I'm definitely a Sox fan. I've never gone to spring training yet in Arizona. My buddy's making a point every year to go for St. Patrick's Day for spring training, and I haven't gone because I've had kids my whole life. And now my oldest kid's 26 years old now, so at 25. And I got a 21-year-old that's going to be 21 tomorrow. I got an 18 and a 17-year-old. So it's my life is beginning right now as far as traveling the country, seeing sports. And I've been to tons of stadiums and stuff already, so I'm kind of spoiled. I have a great wife, but we'll make it happen, man. Let me know when you're coming in for Chicago, and there'll be. I got a bunch of home leagues. People would love to meet up with you again. They'll be just like you can,
Absolutely, I'm there.
Thanks, brother.
You got it. I'll see you.
Everybody, this is Chris Robin, Detroit Bresty, one of the best in the business, man. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Have a good one.